Good evening. I'm the storyteller. For a place we call the last night? Maybe you're here to relax. Maybe you're trying to fall asleep. Just remember, not everyone wakes up after their last night. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you to subscribe, if this voice finds its way into your darkness. And if you're still awake by the end, leave a comment. I read them all. Now, turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. And whatever you do, don't turn around. Let's begin. Tonight we wander off the edge of every known map, into a stretch of windswept heath where the fog rolls in even when the skies are clear. You're not entirely sure how you got here. One moment you are following a cracked road sign off a forgotten highway, and the next, you're here, boots sinking into sodden earth, breath frosting in still air, and the trees too quiet for comfort. There's something deeply wrong with this part of the moor. The air feels heavy, the kind of heavy that wraps around your skin like a woolen shroud. Somewhere behind you, a branch snaps, but there's no wind, and nothing should have moved. You stop, wait, but the silence doesn't return. Instead, it deepens, like a blanket being pulled slowly over your head. And then it hits you. You've passed through a place that doesn't like to be found. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I'd love to know how far this story travels tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge forward, each step pulling you deeper into the folds of this place. The fog seems to carry sound differently here. Your footsteps land without echo, as if the ground is swallowing them before they can bounce back. There's a crunch, not of twigs but something drier, like paper. When you bend down, your fingers brush a brittle bundle of leaves, and beneath them, a patch of dirt, unnaturally smooth. Flattened. Recent. You look up, and that's when you see it, a flicker of movement, far across the field, where the mist hangs low. A figure. Still. Watching. You blink. Gone. The road you'd been following? It doesn't seem to exist anymore. Behind you is nothing but rolling bracken. You try stepping backward, but the ground disagrees. It rises slightly, enough to tilt your balance, almost like it's redirecting you. That's when you first notice the stone markers, half-sunken things spaced out just far enough to be unsettling. They resemble milestones, except these are carved with no numbers, no symbols. Just one thing on each, a crudely etched eye. Some open, some closed, and they seem newer than the soil around them. You crouch beside one and run your hand along the cold surface. Something gritty smears onto your fingers. You think it's lichen, until the wind shifts and brings with it a scent, coppery, old. Almost like blood, but sweeter. More fermented. You wipe your hand on your coat and move on, feeling the back of your neck prickle. That's when you see it, a shimmer through the fog. A building. Low. Crooked. Thatch sagging like a tired eyelid. And next to it, something wooden, tall and thin. Like a gallows, but incomplete. Just two posts and a splintered beam. You've found something that shouldn't be here. And yet here it is. As you approach, the landscape flattens. The fog recedes. And before you stands the remnants of a road, barely more than worn soil, edged by strange moss-covered fences. They curl, turn, and disappear into trees whose bark is darker than any you've seen, near black, like drowned wood. Somewhere ahead, a low bell tolls. Once. It's not loud. But it doesn't echo. The sound just stops, mid-air, like it hits something solid. There's no sky now. Just gray above. Thick and endless. You press on. The first sign that you're nearing Ravenmoor comes not from the buildings, but from the air. It changes temperature, not colder or warmer, but older. Like opening a crypt. Damp parchment and dry rot. And something else. Like wet wool that's never dried. A raven watches from a wooden post. Just one. It doesn't gaw. Doesn't blink. You could swear it's carved. Until it turns its head. Without moving its body. You don't wait. Somehow you know better. The fog curls at your ankles like lazy fingers, pulling you forward. That's when you see the village for the first time, not in one moment, but like it's revealing itself in pieces. A slanted roof here. A window with tattered curtains there. One brick chimney that ends in a rusted weather vane spinning wildly, though there's not a hint of wind. And then, voices. Faint. Children laughing. But the kind of laughter that makes you flinch, like it's too slow. Too measured. And too close to crying. You stop at the edge of what must have once been a main square. Except there's no church, no fountain, no market. Just silence, and the faint imprint of cartwheels in the moss-covered stone. Something's off. The buildings are all wrong. Too narrow, too tall. Doors that don't open into anything. Windows break from the inside. Some houses lean inward as if eavesdropping on one another. You turn to say something, maybe even joke, as if you weren't alone. But your mouth is dry. Behind you, the path is gone. Ahead, the village waits. And deep inside, something shifts, as though a presence has noticed you. Not just watching, but remembering. You take one more step, and the ground makes a sound you've never heard before. It's not a crunch, not a thud. It's a sigh. A deep, heavy exhale that seems to come from beneath the soil itself. You freeze, foot mid-air, and look down. The moss under your boots isn't moss at all. It's some kind of woven green fabric, stitched to the earth with tiny brass pins. You crouch and pull one pin free. It's warm. There's a wind now. But it doesn't rustle the trees, or the roofs, or even your coat. It feels like it's only moving around your ears. Like it's whispering. Not quite language, not quite breath. But close. Too close. You stand. The village lies in front of you, quiet as a hell breath. You pick a building, any building, and walk toward it, because standing still feels more dangerous now. It's the one to the left of the path, squat and half-sunk, its door hung slightly ajar like a broken jaw. The wooden steps creak beneath your weight, softly, like they've missed being stepped on. The door opens without resistance. You don't even touch it. It swings wider as you get near, like a cat brushing past your shins. Inside, dust curls in midair like it's moving in slow motion. The light from outside barely reaches past the threshold. You blink, and realize why. There are no windows. This building has no glass, no openings, no light source. And yet you can see, barely. There's a table in the middle. 4 chairs. One turned slightly away, as though someone had just gotten up. On the table lies a place setting, a bowl, a wooden spoon, and beside it, a small porcelain cup. Full. You lean in. The liquid is black, thick as ink, but it doesn't smell rotten. It smells faintly of cloves. And something older, something metallic. There's a smear on the rim. A fingerprint, maybe. You don't touch it. Not yet. A floorboard pops in the corner of the room. You whip your head around, heart thudding. Nothing. Just a coat stand with a long, tattered cloak hung on it, hood pulled low, shadow pooling where a face might be. You tell yourself it's just the shape. Just fabric. But that's not your breath you're hearing. It's slower than yours. And deeper. You step back, knocking the table. The cup wobbles, spills slightly. The black liquid hits the table, and starts to smoke. It shouldn't do that. You blink again and it's gone. No smoke. The cup is upright. Full. The cloak's still. You leave. Back outside, the fog has thinned slightly. You're grateful. Until you realize why. Because you can now see more of the village. The streets stretch farther than they should. The houses keep going, identical and wrong. You're not sure if they're copies or reflections, like walking through a hall of crooked mirrors. You follow what feels like the main road, though your boots crunch over nothing but frost-hardened dirt. A crow flaps across your path, but doesn't land. It circles and disappears behind a roof. That's when you see the oak tree. At first glance, it's just a tree, gnarled and enormous, its roots breaking through the cobbles. But then you notice, there's no shadow. Not from the branches, not from the trunk. It's as if the light refuses to touch it. Everything around the tree seems drained. Colors dull. Even sound goes flat. You approach. You always do. Someone's carved letters into the bark. Not words, just letters. One on each side of the trunk, etched deeply and precisely, like it was done over years, not hours. Some are Roman. Others. Older. Nordic? Maybe. Some unrecognizable. You circle the tree, counting the markings. There are 32. On the ground below, tucked between two roots, lies a book. Small. Leather-bound. No title. You pick it up. It opens to a page in the center, already marked. The ink looks fresh. You read aloud, slowly, "The door must never face the bell." You flip the page. Blank. Another page. Blank. But your fingers are now stained with black. You drop the book. It doesn't hit the ground. It vanishes. Behind you, the bell rings once. You turn. There's no tower. Just the sound. It came from somewhere else. Deep. Below. The ground shifts again. Subtly. You hear what sounds like stone grinding against stone. You don't run. Not because you're brave, but because you know, somehow, that running wouldn't help. The air smells different now. Damp and sharp, like wet pennies and distant thunder. You walk away from the oak, back toward the village. But something has changed. There are footprints next to yours now. They weren't there before. You follow the footprints because you have no better option. They're faint, pressed lightly into the frost-dusted earth like someone, or something, barely weighed enough to leave a trace. Yet there they are, walking beside your own, matching your gait for several paces before veering slightly left, as if whoever made them was circling you, watching. You turn your head quickly. Nothing. But you feel it. That unmistakable feeling that something is just behind you, hovering at the edge of your vision, barely out of frame. You take a slow breath and keep walking, telling yourself it's just your imagination, even as the mist thickens again. This time, it doesn't roll, it settles, like a curtain dropping behind you, cutting off everything you've passed. The village is folding in on itself. You come to another building, taller than the rest. Its roof is domed, heavy with moss and sloped so unevenly that it seems to lean toward you. There's no door, just a thick slab of wood set into the archway, etched with concentric circles like a thumbprint pressed into damp clay. You push. It opens far too easily, groaning not from resistance but from memory. Inside, the air is warm, wet, and there's a smell, not decay, exactly, but something old and damp, like books buried in peat. You step into the darkness and feel the shift again. Pressure behind your eyes, like entering a crypt too deep to measure. There's no light, but you can see. Not from torches. Not from candles. From the walls. They're covered in paper. Thousands of pages, stitched into the wood like a madman's quilt. No order. No titles. Just handwritten fragments, overlapping in a storm of ink, some fresh, some faded, some written in languages that haven't been spoken aloud in centuries. You move closer. One of the pages peels slightly at the corner, like it wants your attention. You read, "It is the 21st year since Ravenmoor sank beneath its own name. We were told to forget. We failed." You swallow. The next page, "We left milk. We left songs. We locked every door but one." That one. You look toward the back of the room. There it is. A door, smaller than the one you entered. Painted red, not blood red, but red like old wax. Like sealing wax. There's no handle. Just a black smear where a handprint might have been, long ago. You hear something shift behind it. You do not open it. Instead, you turn, intending to leave, and nearly walk into a mirror. But this mirror doesn't reflect. It absorbs. You see no version of yourself. Only a black depth, thick and slow moving, like oil in moonlight. Then, movement. A shape glides across the surface, tall, robed, its face a blur. You freeze, staring. It pauses. Then turns. Not away, but toward you. It's staring back. Your skin crawls. You feel your scalp tighten as a low pulse begins behind your ears. The thing inside the mirror lifts its arm, slowly, and points upward. You don't know why. But you look up too. There's a trapdoor in the ceiling. You hadn't seen it before. But it's there now. Rope ladder. Rotten beams. Cold air seeping through. You climb. Because, again, not climbing feels worse. At the top, the attic is different. Round. That's the first thing you notice. The walls curve inward. No corners. And the floor is soft, fabric again. Like a giant upholstered box. There are items here. Not furniture. Not objects. Offerings. A child's shoe. No pair. A feather, still wet. A music box, open and playing no tune. And in the middle, a single chair, carved bone white, tall-backed, with velvet that seems to breathe. You approach. There's something on the seat. A letter. Unopened. Wax sealed. The seal bears the same symbol from the oak tree, the eye. You pick it up. And just as your fingers close around the envelope, the music box begins to play. A slow, hollow lullaby. You don't recognize the melody. But your bones do. You sit down in the chair without meaning to. It creaks under you, once, and then settles. You hold the letter in your lap. You don't open it. The room dims, though there was no visible light source to begin with. And suddenly, you feel as if you are being remembered. Not watched. Not hunted. Remembered. And that somehow feels worse. You don't remember standing. One moment, you're seated in the bone-white chair, the letter sealed in your lap, the lullaby wrapping itself around you like smoke. The next, you're outside again. But not where you entered. The air has changed. Heavier. More metallic. The fog, which once hovered like breath on glass, now clings to the ground like a sleeping body. It wraps around your ankles as you walk, reluctantly letting go with each step, only to grasp at your heels again. As if trying to pull you back. You look around. This part of Ravenmoor is quieter. Not dead, no. Just listening. The houses here lean closer together. Their thatched roofs nearly touch overhead, forming narrow corridors like the alleys of some old, unspeaking city. Doors are crooked. Windows covered. And above them, strange symbols etched in the plaster, circles, X's, teeth-like marks, eyes with slashes through them. You start to notice one symbol repeating, a twisted figure 8, almost like a serpent biting its own tail, but drawn with 3 loops instead of 2. It appears on lintels, carved into lantern posts, scratched into shutters. You follow it. Your steps echo, first softly, then not at all. Somewhere behind you, a shutter creaks. Somewhere farther, a laugh, quick, dry, like someone remembering a joke too late. The serpent symbol leads you to a courtyard. Overgrown. Choked with vines, but eerily symmetrical. In the center stands a fountain. Cracked. Dry. But something glistens in the basin. You approach. It's not water. It's silver coins. Hundreds of them. Stacked, arranged in neat spirals. Each engraved with a date. 1632. 1632. 1632. You reach out to touch one, and flinch back. It's warm. Not sun-warmed. Body-warm. And then you see the plaque. It's half buried in lichen, but readable. Just 4 words. We paid. It stayed. A drop lands on your hand. You look up. No clouds. Another drop. On your shoulder. You glance down. It's red. Not rain. Blood? No, too dark. Too thick. And strangely, it doesn't spread. It just sits there. A single bead. Like paint. And then you hear it. Not from above. Not from behind. From below. The sound of something wet moving beneath the earth. Not flowing, crawling. You back away from the fountain and find yourself near another doorway, this one built into the ground. A root cellar? A crypt? The door is stone, not wood. It bears no handle. Only a small indentation. Shaped like the palm of a hand. You press yours into it before you can stop yourself. The stone groans. Shifts. Opens. A cold breath rises to meet you, full of mildew and long-decayed spices. You descend. The air grows tighter with every step. The walls sweat. The stone underfoot is slick, but not with water. It smells like ink. Or rust. There's a light below, but no flame. Just a slow, pulsing glow, like bioluminescence. Like a heartbeat. You reach the bottom. It's a chamber. Perfectly round. Every surface covered in mirrors. Floor. Walls. Ceiling. But none reflect you. Instead, you see different versions of the room in each. Rooms with figures standing still, hunched, hooded. Some whisper. Some sway. Some point. None move outside the glass. In the center of the room is a pedestal. On it, a book. Open. As you approach, the mirrors begin to hum, faintly, like glass under pressure. You reach the book. The page is half written. The ink still fresh. You lean in. It's your name. Written in tight, careful letters. Beneath it, witness. Remember. Remain. The next line is still forming itself. You step back. But your feet won't move. The hum rises. The mirrors pulse. You look down again. And the page is changing, words rewriting themselves, reforming. Now it says, "You found Ravenmoor. Ravenmoor found you." One of the mirrors cracks. Then another. You run. You don't know how you make it back to the surface. You don't remember the stairs. Only the sound of the mirror shattering behind you, one by one, each crack echoing like thunder in reverse. When you burst back into the cold air, you're in a different part of the village again. You don't know how. But the bell is tolling. And you're starting to wonder. Was it always meant to find you? The bell tolls once, long and low, vibrating through your ribs. You feel it in your teeth. It rings not like a church bell, but like a warning, stretched out to test your resolve. You want to believe it's just a sound, just some ancient village ritual left echoing across centuries. But you know better now. You stand in what appears to be a garden. Or maybe it used to be one. Thorned hedges coil in unnatural shapes around rusting iron trellises, and the flowers, if that's what they were, are long dead, shriveled to husks with brittle petals sharp as glass. Nothing grows here anymore. Nothing dares. Except for the scarecrows. There are 3 of them, planted firmly in the earth with thick wooden stakes, heads lolling toward one another like they're exchanging secrets. Their clothes are threadbare, moth-eaten. But recent, a wool sweater here, a boot with untied laces there. One wears a coat just like yours. You step closer and see the buttons. One is missing. You glance down at your own coat. So is yours. The scarecrow lifts its head. You freeze. Not because it moved. It didn't, but because now, its face is different. It looks just like yours. Mouth stitched. Eyes open. Unblinking. The other 2 are turning now, slowly, as if only just remembering how to move. You don't run. You walk. Carefully. Deliberately. As if sudden movement would trigger something ancient and deeply hungry. Back on the path, if it can be called that, you notice that the buildings have shifted again. Their angles are wrong. More crooked. Some lean so far over the road you'd have to crawl beneath them. The village is curling in on itself, tightening like a noose. You come to a house you haven't seen before. It's cleaner than the others. Intact windows. A fresh broom by the door. You hesitate. Then knock. The door opens a crack. No sound. No movement. Just the faint scent of lavender and ash. You enter. It's warm inside. Too warm. There's a fire burning, but not in a hearth. Just floating in the middle of the room, suspended 3 feet off the floor. You step around it cautiously. It gives off no smoke, but the flames whisper, and the words are almost familiar. They're saying your name. On the far wall is a painting. Large. Old. Covered in thick varnish that's begun to crack. It depicts the village square, recognizable even through the age. But there are no people. Just shapes. Blurred. Elongated. Standing too tall. Faces too thin. You count 6. In the upper right corner, a date, May 17, 1632. You hear footsteps overhead. Slow. Precise. Coming closer to the stairs. Then, silence. And then, a child's voice. Very soft. Very close. We're not supposed to talk to you. You turn. No one. The broom by the door has fallen. A knock at the window. You walk to it and peer through. There, across the street, standing perfectly still, is a woman in gray. You can't see her face. Her veil is too thick. But she raises one hand, and in it, she holds something. A mirror. Small. Round. The kind travelers carry. She tilts it toward you. Your reflection isn't there. But hers is. You step away. The house is colder now. The fire is gone. The door has shut itself. You walk toward it, grasp the handle, and feel breath on your neck. You don't turn. You just open the door and walk out into a village that no longer looks like it belongs to any time you know. Everything is a little less defined. Like an old dream. The air smells of forgotten wood smoke and parchment, and in the distance, the bell tolls again. Once. Twice. 3 times. You check your pocket. The letter you never opened is gone. In its place, a folded page, damp and torn. You open it. It reads, "You are now one of the remembered." And just beneath it, smaller handwriting, "Do not answer if the bell tolls 12. You look up. The sun is gone. You don't remember its setting. And far above, where stars should be, there is only a slow turning spiral of shadow. Ravenmoor is closing. You feel it in your bones now, that tightening sensation, like the village is exhaling slowly, drawing itself inward, preparing to fold shut like a secret well kept for too long. You glance down at the path, only to realize it's no longer dirt or stone. It's parchment. Worn, yellowed, and scribbled over in writing too fine to read with the naked eye. With every step, the words smear just beneath your boots, only to reappear a moment later, rewritten in fresh ink. You're not sure if you're following a road anymore. Or a script. You reach what might have once been a square. It is not empty. There are people here. Or at least, things that resemble people. A dozen or more, each standing perfectly still. Not statues, not mannequins, real. But utterly still. Their clothes are from different eras, some in pilgrim garb, others in tattered Victorian shawls, one in a war uniform you don't recognize. Faces half obscured by cloth, by hair, by strange ceremonial masks. None blink. None move. Yet all of them are facing the same direction, a massive wooden building at the far end of the square. Its walls are black with soot, and its windows are sealed with iron crossbars. There is no door, only a curtain of beads made from teeth. You take a breath you don't remember drawing and cross the square. As you pass the still ones, you feel their eyes shift beneath the masks. Not a twitch, not a glance, just the weight of their noticing. The air here is heavy with waiting. Like everyone is holding their breath for the same moment. You push past the curtain of teeth. Inside, It's colder than it should be. The air carries a metallic resonance, like a bell being struck miles below the earth. The walls are lined with paintings, portraits. Dozens of them. Each subject wears the same vacant expression. None are signed. Until you reach the back wall. The final portrait is covered with a sheet of velvet. You hesitate. Then pull. It's you. Not quite as you are now, older, perhaps. Worn. Tired. But it's you. Beneath the portrait is a plaque. 4 words, burned into the wood, last to forget, first to return. You take a step back. The floor creaks, not from weight, but from strain. Like it's bearing something more than you. And then you hear it again. The bell. Toll. 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 4 times now. You step out of the building and see that the square has changed. The still ones are gone. But their footprints remain. Dozens of them. All leading to where you stand. You walk quickly now. The buildings around you groan. Some lean too far forward, shadows spilling from their doorways. Others weep thick black resin from windows that were shuttered just minutes before. You reach the edge of the village, or what you think is the edge. There's a gate. It's small. Iron. Twisted like vines. Above it, a wooden sign dangles from one chain. It reads, "Memory ends here." You touch the latch. It's locked. No keyhole. No bolt. Just a small piece of paper tucked in between the iron bars. You unfold it. It says, "You haven't seen the well yet." The bell tolls again. 5. You turn around. The road is gone. Only a narrow footpath now, winding between headstones you hadn't noticed before. The cemetery was here all along, hidden behind the folds of fog. You follow the path. It leads you to a clearing where a well sits in the center, ringed with ivy-covered stones. The kind of well children used to whisper into, hoping for echoes or answers. You peer down. Nothing. But when you whisper your name, the well whispers back. It says, "Still here." You recoil. But then you hear footsteps behind you. Soft. Barefoot. You turn. A woman stands there. Gray dress. Veil lifted. No eyes. Just hollow sockets. And still, she's smiling. She holds out a hand. In it is the mirror again. You look. You're in the reflection this time. But you're not alone. Behind you in the mirror, a dozen masked figures stand, unmoving. They don't blink. They don't breathe. You whirl around. No one there. But the well is full now. With water. And in the reflection, the same village. Except older. Broken. Burning. You blink. Gone. And now you realize, this village never wanted to be found. It wanted to be remembered. And memory doesn't let go so easily. The well still hums. Not with song or wind, but with something deeper, something vertebral, like the sound a cello would make if it were buried 10 feet underground and weeping. You take a slow step back, watching as the surface of the water continues to ripple, though nothing disturbs it. Not a drop of rain. Not a breeze. Your name is still echoing in the stone. You hadn't said it aloud in minutes. Somewhere in the distance, the bell tolls again. 6. Each ring stretches longer than the one before, as if the space between time itself is being pulled like taffy. You glance up at the sky, what little of it you can still see. It's no longer foggy. It's simply blank. No stars. No moon. No clouds. Just absence. You turn back toward the village, and that's when you notice something has shifted. The headstones around you have changed. Before, they were old. Faded. Covered in moss and names too worn to read. Now, they're clear. Sharp. Fresh. Each one carved with a date, May 17, 1632. And each with a name. Most are unfamiliar. But the last stone, the one directly beside the well, holds yours. You don't want to look. But you do. Your name is there. Full. Correct. Below it, No epitaph. Just a phrase, return E13 of 13. You count the graves again. 13. You count your breaths. 12. The bell tolls again. 7. You walk away from the well, boots crunching on newly formed gravel, though the ground had been soft just moments ago. The path takes you toward what appears to be a schoolhouse. A single bell tower juts from its roof, splintered, rust-streaked, but unmistakable. There's no door. Only a doorway choked with ivy. You duck inside. Desks line the room in perfect rows. Too perfect. None dusty. None broken. Each one holds a small slate, a stub of chalk, and a candle. All 13 are lit. A teacher's chair sits at the head of the room. Empty. But the chalkboard holds a message. Fresh, curling letters written in trembling script. The test is not what you learn. The test is what you forget. Beneath it, another line, do not fail twice. Something creaks behind you. You whirl. No one. Then, a whisper, right against your ear. Though no breath touches your skin, they always fail at 7. You stumble backward into a desk. The slate cracks. A child's laugh echoes. Soft. Muffled, like it's coming from inside a drawer. The bell tolls again. 8. This time, the whole building shudders. Dust falls from the beams. The candles sputter, but do not go out. You run. Back into the village that won't stay still. Now, the roads loop impossibly. A doorway leads back to itself. A corner folds inward and returns you to the well. Every path seems to spiral. And worse still, they're all beginning to fill with water. It seeps from the cobblestones. From beneath the houses. From inside the buildings. You pass a bakery with loaves still warm on the shelves, but the oven glows with waterlight, bubbling behind the iron grate. A shoe shop sloshes as you pass, every boot floating gently, toe up. The village is drowning. And not for the first time. You spot a figure ahead. A man in robes. His back turned. He moves slowly, dragging something behind him. A bell on a stick. He pauses at each doorway, taps the bell 3 times, and listens. Then moves on. You follow. Because you can't stop. He leads you to a chapel. The only building you haven't entered. The door is already open. He walks inside, bell silent now. You follow him into the dim sanctuary. There are no pews. Just mirrors. Dozens of them. Lining every wall, the ceiling, even the floor beneath your feet. And in each one, you see yourself. But not quite. Each reflection is a little off. One version has eyes missing. One is younger. One is older. One is grinning, far too wide. And one, just one, turns its head before you do. You freeze. The bell tolls again. 9. Every mirror goes black. Except one. The one straight ahead. It flickers. You step forward. And see not your face. But the village. Burning. And through the flames, 13 figures walking away from it. Hand in hand. One turns. It's you. Not now you. Then you. And you're smiling. As the bell tolls again. 10. The mirrors begin to crack. And the floor shifts beneath your feet. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a memory uncoils like smoke. You've been here before. The memory hits like a submerged bell strike, deep, resonant, and disorienting. You stagger as the chapel tilts around you, its mirrors warping and blurring, like water shimmering before a boil. You clutch the edge of a pewless wall for balance, but your hand sinks through it. It's no longer solid. Just glass and suggestion. You've been here before. Not in this life. Not quite. But your muscles remember the motion, your skin remembers the air. It's the strange familiarity of walking into a dream you know too well, and wish you didn't. The mirror before you no longer shows fire. Now, it shows the chapel itself. But empty. No you. No reflection. Just the still room, as if it's waiting. You blink. Now the mirror shows the well. A woman stands beside it. The woman in gray. She's weeping. But the tears don't fall. They rise, trailing upward into the air, vanishing like smoke caught in a draft. She looks up suddenly and stares directly at you. The bell tolls again. 11. This one drags longer. It doesn't end so much as fray apart, strands of sound unraveling into the air like old cloth. You hear things in it, whispers, maybe. Names you almost remember. Promises you might have made. A lullaby in reverse. The chapel door slams shut behind you. You whirl around. The figure with the bell is gone. In his place is a book. Open. Balanced on a narrow pedestal made of bone and wrought iron. You approach. You can't help it now. The pages flutter on their own, one after another, as if blown by a wind that exists only inside the book. They stop near the middle. The ink is red. The text reads, "The returnee must choose. Beneath it, remain. Or replace." You don't know what it means. You do. You glance around. The mirrors show you 13 different paths. 13 doors. 13 versions of yourself. One of them is missing a shadow. That one waves. You blink. It's gone. You look back at the book. The page has changed. If you read this, the hour is close. Do not answer the 12th bell. And then, unless you wish to stay, there's a mirror behind the pedestal now. You don't remember it being there. It's not glass. It's water. A standing pool, rippling just slightly, as though something is breathing behind it. Your own face stares back. This time it speaks. But the words don't reach your ears. They reach somewhere deeper. You step closer. The chapel begins to flicker, literally. The torches burn in quick, fluttering spasms, casting shadows that jump far too quickly, like film run backwards. And then, suddenly, you are outside. Again. Standing before the well. The fog has returned. Denser than ever. Not white. Red. The woman in gray is gone. But beside the well stands a child. Back turned. Head bowed. You speak. No response. You step closer. The child looks up. It's you. You as a child. Exactly you. Hair, eyes, even the chipped tooth from when you fell off your bike. The child version of you opens their mouth and speaks your name 3 times. With each utterance, something inside the well shifts. A chain rises. Then a box. Dripping wet. Bound in iron. Marked with 13 sigils, each glowing faintly. The child says, "You left something behind." Then vanishes. The box creaks. It opens. Inside, the letter. The same one from the attic. Still sealed. Still unopened. You reach in. As your fingers touch it, you hear it, clearer than ever before. The 12th bell. But it hasn't rung yet. It's winding. Coiling in the air like a storm waiting to break. The letter pulses in your hand. And then you hear the voices. 13 of them. All versions of you. All saying the same thing, choose. The well water begins to rise. Up past the rim. Over the edge. Crawling toward your feet. And still the bell waits. Paused. The longest second of your life. You know, when it rings, the choice will be locked. Remain. Or replace. But which of you will remain? And which will be forgotten? The 12th bell is still waiting. Somehow, impossibly, it's lingering, trembling, at the very edge of sound, like a breath held too long or a thread drawn so tight it's beginning to hum. The world around you obeys it. Even the fog pauses, trembling mid-air, as if the entire village knows what's coming. The letter in your hand is warm. Not warm like skin or breath, but like something that's been waiting too long beneath the earth. A kind of buried heat. You look down. The well water has reached your boots. It doesn't splash. Doesn't soak. It climbs, slowly, up the leather as though it recognizes you. As if it's tasting. You unfold the letter. Inside, only a single line. Written in the same hand as before, the one from the book in the chapel. They're not trapped. They're chosen. Your pulse stutters. You step back, but the water follows. Ripples grow around your feet, as though something below is moving. The 13th thing. You turn to flee. And that's when you see the village. Truly see it. The houses are no longer structures. They're shells. Carapaces. Skins stretched over memories. Every doorway you've passed is now a mouth. Every chimney a throat. Every shutter an eyelid. The village isn't haunted. It is the ghost. It's alive in the way a memory lives. And you're inside it. You run anyway. Down a path that should lead nowhere. But this time, it leads somewhere new. A gate. The one from before. Memory ends here. But now, the sign has changed. It says, "No one leaves remembering." You grab the latch. It burns your hand. You yank it open. And standing just beyond it, a second you. But they're different. Smiling. Calm. They reach out and touch your arm. And you feel a rush. Like drowning in wind. Like falling up. Your thoughts blur. Your memories stagger and bend. You remember. A house. A kitchen. A childhood dog. A name whispered in a dark room. A face you can't quite recall. And then, you forget them all. The bell rings. 12. It doesn't sound like a bell this time. It sounds like a door slamming shut forever. You blink. And you're back at the center of the village. But something's wrong. You're in the chapel again. The mirrors are gone. So is the book. So is the bell. And the door is open. It's morning. Birdsong. Gentle fog. Dew on the grass. You walk outside. The village is quiet. Clean. The houses are upright. The roads are dry. No one's here, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels peaceful. You follow the path back to the gate. The sign is gone. Beyond it, a road. Paved. Modern. You keep walking. You don't look back. You pass a wooden marker, just a plank, nailed to a tree. Someone's carved something into it. "Thank you for remembering." And beneath it, scratched deeper, 13 returned. 12 remain. You run your fingers over the carving. The grooves feel warm. Familiar. The air smells like lavender and parchment. And for just a second, you think, did I leave something behind? But you don't remember what. Not really. You just remember the sound of the bell. And how it never really stops ringing. The road stretches ahead of you, smooth and strangely untouched, as though no car has ever passed this way. Birds chirp above you in a rhythm too regular, like a looped song. Trees sway gently. The air smells like spring rain and forgotten pages. You walk for what feels like hours. There's no sign of the village behind you. Not even the path. Just woods, dense and undisturbed, like nothing was ever there. As though Ravenmoor was a dream you wandered too far into. But your boots are still wet. And your coat still bears the faint scent of smoke and iron. You reach a crossroads. There's a small wooden signpost with 4 arrows. Each one blank. Beneath it, a bench. On the bench, a man in gray. His head bowed, hands clasped, like a statue in prayer. You slow as you approach. His posture doesn't change. Not even when your shadow touches his feet. You clear your throat. Nothing. Then you see it. Around his neck hangs a string, threadbare, holding 13 small bells. None move. You lean in. "Do you know the way out?" you ask. His head lifts slowly. And you gasp, not because of his face, but because he wears your face. Not exactly. Older. Tired. Grayer at the temples. Scars you don't yet have. But still you. He smiles faintly. And says, "Not everyone gets to leave. But some of us return different." He reaches into his coat and pulls out something small. A mirror. You feel your breath catch. He holds it up, not to himself, but to you. And in the reflection, You see, not you. Not now you. But all the versions of you. Layered like smoke. One carries a lantern. One wears a mask. One is still a child, holding a letter. They begin to fade, one by one. Until only one remains. The one still seated. Still watching. Still waiting. The man, your other self, speaks again. Do you remember the door? You blink. Behind him, a door now stands in the forest. Just there, unsupported. Freestanding. Its surface is blackwood, its frame carved with thorn vines. A key hangs from the knob. You don't remember picking it up. But it's in your pocket now. You glance down. The key glows faintly. The man smiles again and says, "You can turn it. Or you can forget." You approach the door. Place the key in the lock. It fits. Of course it does. But something inside you hesitates. Turning the key feels final. And memory is a kind of weight. You turn. The man is gone. The bench is empty. Only the bells remain, scattered across the seat like shed teeth. You turn the key. The door swings open. Behind it, not the forest. Not the road. Just black. Ink thick. Endless. You hear a voice. Your own. Speaking softly, "You made it this far. Are you sure you want to wake up?" You step through. And the door vanishes behind you. The air here is still. Quiet. You are standing in your own bedroom. Familiar. Safe. Silent. Morning light just beginning to creep in. You sit up. Everything is exactly as it was. Except the letter is on your pillow. Still sealed. Still waiting. The mirror on your wall is slightly fogged. And the sound of a bell, very faint, still echoes in the back of your mind. You sit on the edge of your bed, staring at the letter. The seal remains unbroken, perfectly intact. The wax stamped with that same symbol, the eye carved into the oak, the one that stared without blinking. You trace it gently with your thumb. It's real. The paper feels thick, aged, and it smells faintly of ash and lavender. You turn it over. No name. No address. Only that symbol. You set it down carefully on the nightstand and glance around your room. Everything looks the same. The same posters, the same mug half filled with lukewarm tea, the same flickering lamp bulb you've been meaning to replace. The hum of the fridge in the next room. The faint ticking of a clock. And yet, the silence is too complete. There's no birdsong. You walk to the window. Outside, the world holds its breath. No breeze. No movement. No life. Just stillness. You open the window, expecting to feel the morning air on your skin. Instead, nothing. Not cold, not warm. Just absence. And then, very faintly, somewhere in the distance, you hear it. The bell. Just one toll this time. Not the heavy, ancient sound of Ravenmoor's chime. This one is different. Higher. Sharper. Almost like a doorbell. You turn to the front door. Your hallway is longer than it should be. Narrower, too. You walk toward the sound, heart beating faster with each step. At the door, a slip of paper has been shoved through the mail slot. You pick it up. Plain white. No handwriting. Until you blink. Then the ink appears. Just 3 words. You came back. You open the door. No one there. But at your feet, neatly placed on a doormat, is a mirror. Small. Round. The same travel mirror the veiled woman once held. You pick it up and flip it open. This time, the reflection shows a road. The same winding path from the village. But you're not on it. Someone else is. Someone wearing your coat. You close the mirror. Your hand shakes. The lights in the hallway flicker once. Then again. And then a third time, staying dim. You walk back into your room. The letter is gone. In its place, the book from the chapel. Open to a blank page. But ink is forming. You watch as letters begin to curl across the paper in that same familiar hand. If you're reading this, The hour begins anew. You sit down slowly, unable to tear your eyes from the page. It continues, there are always 13. Always one more to remember. One more to replace. You close the book. But now the mirror on your wall is fogging again. You walk to it and wipe the surface clean. Behind your reflection, you see the chapel, flickering. And behind the chapel, fog, curling like fingers through empty streets. The outline of the well. And just past it, you. Standing. Waiting. But you're wearing something different this time. The gray coat. The 13 bells. And you're holding out your hand. To yourself. The room darkens. The light bulb pops. And in the silence that follows, you hear it again. The first toll. Of a new bell. The toll reverberates through your bones like a forgotten memory waking up. You stagger slightly, gripping the edge of your dresser. The mirror is perfectly still now. No fog, no flicker, but it reflects only you. No chapel. No fog. No other self. You should feel relief. But your heartbeat has picked up, a slow drumbeat echoing that single chime. You glance at the book again. The page is turning. On its own. One line now fills the next sheet. Turn around. You freeze. Everything in your body resists. You tell yourself it's a joke. A coincidence. A trick of suggestion. And still, you turn. No one is there. Of course not. But the door to your room is open now. You didn't hear it move. You didn't touch it. But it's open. And behind it, only blackness. Not shadow. Not dark hallway. Black. Absence. You step toward it slowly. Just to close it. Just to make sure. As you reach out your hand, something whispers, wait. You spin around again. Still no one. But your closet door, once shut, is now ajar. The overhead light above it flickers. You approach it cautiously. Every step feels heavier. Like the floor is resisting you. You pull the door fully open. Nothing but clothes. A coat you haven't worn in years. Boots you forgot you owned. And at the very bottom, a lantern. The old kind. Brass. The glass cracked slightly at the top. Inside, no candle. Just water. Clear. Still. But glowing faintly. You reach down and lift it. It's heavy. And cold. The glow strengthens. You blink, and you're not in your bedroom anymore. You're standing at the edge of the forest again. Ravenmoor behind you. The well before you. And in your hand, the glowing lantern. You didn't walk here. You were pulled. The trees sway around you in a breeze you can't feel. Above, the sky is pale gray. Still no sun. Still no time. The fog is returning, curling along the ground, and as it gathers, so do the others. 12 of them. Figures emerge from the trees. All different. Different heights. Clothing. Eras. But all with one thing in common. Your face. Each of them stops in a circle around the well. None speak. They simply turn to look at you. One steps forward. You recognize him. He was the one with the mirror. The one who smiled. He lifts his hand, palm out. There's something drawn on it in ink. A serpent in a triple loop. You feel your own palm burn slightly. You lift it. And there it is. The mark. You didn't draw it. It was always there. Another bell tolls. Second. Each figure lifts their head. You feel it now. This isn't the first time. You've stood in this place before. Maybe not in this life. Maybe not with this face. But you've been the 13th. And now, it's time to remember why. The man with the mirror speaks, the well must be sealed. You glance down. The water is rising again. But it's not just water. It's memory. Faces. Voices. Moments. Your grandmother's voice on the phone. Your first lost tooth. The song that used to make you cry for no reason. They swirl in the surface. And underneath them, something deeper waits. Something that's watched all 13 of you through time. The one that chooses. The one that forgets. The lantern flares in your hand. A voice, not yours, whispers in your head, you can lock it away. But something always remembers. The others begin to chant. Not in words, but in memory. Each memory you tried to bury. Each life you pretended not to live. You kneel at the well. Place the lantern in the center. The water hisses as it touches it. And the light pulses once, twice, then fades. The well goes dark. The fog recedes. The others are gone. You stand alone. Again. Only the mirror remains. Propped against the side of the well. You pick it up. Look inside. And for the first time, there's no reflection. Just fog. And the faintest sound of a bell. Waiting to ring again. You stand there for a long time, mirror in hand, staring into the fog-filled glass that no longer shows your face. The silence around you isn't natural. It's loaded, expectant, like an audience holding its breath just before the curtain lifts. You hear the faintest hum in your ears, like tinnitus made of memory. Not painful, but present. A thread tugging. You tuck the mirror into your coat pocket. It's warm. Not from your body. From something else. You walk. Where the well once stood, there is now only damp stone, scored with 13 shallow grooves arranged in a circle. Each groove the width of a finger. Each one recently filled with something that's now gone. As you step away, the grooves pulse. Just once. The air smells of burnt ink and old cedar. You find yourself walking toward a house you haven't seen before. Nestled at the edge of the tree line, where the forest encroaches against the crumbling border of the village. Its shape is wrong. Too tall for its base. Its chimney emerges from the side, not the top. A single window glares outward, its glass entirely black. You open the gate, it wails softly like something breathing through its teeth, and walk up to the porch. A note is nailed to the door with a rusted knitting needle. You may enter, if you remember. Below that, you may leave, if you forget. You knock anyway. Once. Twice. 3 times. The door unlatches itself and swings open with a hiss that feels personal. Inside, dust motes and lamplight. But the walls are covered, not with paint, not with wallpaper, but with pages. Each one handwritten. Thousands of them. Some familiar. You see your own name scrawled again and again, always in different ink, sometimes in languages you do not recognize. In some pages, it's crossed out. In others, underlined. In one, it's inverted entirely, written backward in mirrored script. A chair sits in the center of the room, facing a mirror. You walk to it. Sit. The mirror does not reflect the room. It shows the village. A slow pan, like an invisible eye scanning the street. Empty. Still. Serene. And then, it stops. Centered in the frame is a single door. Black wood. Thorn vines carved across its surface. The same door from the forest. A voice speaks behind you. Low. Calm. That's the first door. You don't turn. It continues. There are 13. Each opens somewhere you've buried yourself. The air grows thick. Scented like forgotten rain. You speak, your voice barely your own. Am I trapped here? The voice chuckles. Soft. Dry. You were never trapped. You volunteered. Your throat tightens. Why? The room seems to inhale. The voice leans closer, to hold the memory. To be the thread. You stand. Quickly. The chair doesn't move with you. In the mirror, the door begins to open. A sliver of light breaks through. And behind it, a staircase spiraling downward. You blink. The mirror is now your reflection again. And behind you, where the walls were covered in pages, is now a single wooden wall. With a trapdoor. A ring latch set in the center. It's already turning. Slowly. Deliberately. You kneel and lift it. Below, the staircase. Just like in the mirror. Each step carved with a word. You don't know what they say. Not yet. But the language looks eerily familiar. You descend. Not because you want to, but because you've always descended. Even before you knew you had. The trapdoor closes softly above you. The bell tolls once. Just once. Not the 12th. Not yet. You descend the staircase slowly, one step at a time, hand brushing the wall for balance. The stone beneath your fingers feels soft, too soft. It yields slightly, like aged parchment soaked in humidity, then stiffens again. Each step creaks, not with age, but with recognition. Like it knows your weight. The air tightens. There's no smell here. Not dust. Not mold. Not earth. Just absence. Your breath echoes louder than your footsteps, even though you're careful, quieter than ever. It sounds distant, like someone else breathing just behind your ear. You keep moving, because to stop would be to fall. There's no light source. But everything is visible. Lit by memory, maybe. Or something more ancient than fire. The staircase spirals lower, impossibly lower than the height of the house. It defies logic. Architecture. Time. You stopped questioning that around bell 6. Every fifth step bears a symbol. Some you recognize from Ravenmore, the eye, the serpent with 3 loops, the triple lock key. Some are new. A face with no mouth. A mirrored sun. A door within a door. Eventually, the staircase ends. You step onto a floor made of tile. 13 tiles, to be exact. Arranged in a perfect circle. Each one bears a name. One of them is yours. You kneel and brush the dust from the surface. The letters are perfect, freshly carved. You press your palm against it. Nothing happens. Then, everything does. The room shifts around you like a dream flipping inside out. The tiles vanish beneath your feet, and suddenly, you are elsewhere. You stand in a field. The field from your first night in Ravenmore. The fog is thinner now. The sky, flat gray. And in the distance, you see the oak with no shadow. It's older now. Bigger. Its bark writhes, almost imperceptibly. Not like it's alive, but like it's listening. You approach. The same carved letters still ring the trunk, though now, they pulse faintly. Glowing. Just beneath the surface. You remember the book. The journal with the fresh ink. The phrase, "The door must never face the bell." You look around. There are doors here now. Dozens. Freestanding. Scattered across the field like forgotten tombstones. Each one different. Some ancient wood. Some rusted metal. One is made of woven hair. Each facing a different direction. Except one. One faces directly toward the oak. Its handle is polished brass, shaped like an eye. The moment you see it, the bell tolls. The 12th. Long. Slow. Final. It rolls through your body like a wave, and something within you shatters and remakes itself in the same breath. The doors begin to rattle. All of them. Except the one facing the oak. That one opens. Not fast. Not sudden. But welcoming. A warm breeze flows out. Scented with lavender. And candle wax. You step forward, heart racing. The oak groans. Not in protest. In warning. Behind you, the field begins to recede. The other doors fall. One by one, folding in on themselves like burning paper. The fog closes in. Only this door remains. You place your hand on the handle. It's warm. It remembers you. You step through. And find yourself in a room you have never seen. Yet you know it. A writing desk. A cracked window. A mirror, fogged. And in the center, a chair. Facing away. You approach slowly. Place your hand on the back of the chair. It turns. And seated in it, is you. Not just any version. The original. The first. The one who never left. Eyes closed. Mouth moving. Repeating something over and over in a whisper. Return E13. Return E13. Return E. He opens his eyes. They are yours. Exactly yours. And he smiles. I've been waiting to forget. You don't move. Neither does he. For a long moment, the two of you simply exist, one standing, one sitting, the air between you thick with the weight of something ancient finally resurfacing. The version of you in the chair, the first, has aged, but not by time. His face is etched not with wrinkles, but with script. Fine lines of ink curl up from his collar, winding across his jaw, his cheeks, his temples. Sentences. Symbols. His skin is a palimpsest. He leans forward slightly, and when he speaks again, it's in your voice, but softer. Slower. I thought I could hold it all. He gestures to the room. The walls are bare, but the floor is littered with pages. Some fresh. Some brittle with time. Some still writing themselves. But memory is a living thing, he says. It breathes. And it wants to be remembered. You glance at the pages. On each, a different scene. A candle flickering in an attic window. A child standing beside a well. A woman in gray, whispering into her own shadow. A mirror, cracked and wet with fog. A hand, reaching through the frame. Each moment is familiar. Each moment is yours. You kneel and pick one up. It's warm. You read a single line. You forgot the first time on purpose. You look back up. The first you is holding something. A box. Plain. Wooden. Bound in 13 iron bands. He slides it across the desk toward you. You hesitate. What is it? He shrugs. A tired gesture. Whatever you buried. The bands fall away one by one, clicking softly, as if recognizing your presence. Inside, a mirror. But not one you've seen before. This one is filled with smoke. Your reflection forms only when you stare long enough. And when it does, you don't like what you see. Because it's not you. It's each of them. The 13. Their eyes, their hands, their memories. And underneath, a 14th shape, still forming. You look up. The first you smiles faintly. He lifts a bell from the desk. Tiny. Silver. Silent. Your turn. He places it into your palm. The moment your fingers close around it, you feel it. The entire village. Not just as it is, or was, but as it remembers being. You're not standing in a room. You're standing in the mind of Ravenmore. Every path. Every ritual. Every choice. And every replacement. The mirror dims. The first you sighs, eyes growing heavy. I never meant to keep it this long. You want to ask what it is. But part of you knows. It's not just memory. It's role. It's burden. It's the duty of the one who leaves last. The bell in your hand grows warmer. It's time. The first who closes his eyes. And with a breath so soft it could be silence, he fades. Into ink. Into ash. Into the pages on the floor. You are alone again. But not empty. The room breathes with you. And the bell tolls again. Not 12. Not 13. 1. The first bell. The start of something. You rise. The mirror before you shows the village. Calm again. Still. Waiting. And you? You are now the one it remembers. You are the one who must carry it forward. You pick up the box. Close it. And as the last band snaps back into place, you hear it, your own voice. From the past. Or the future. Or some dream forgotten. Remember us. The room folds around you. Not suddenly. Not violently. But like paper softening under rain. Quietly, irrevocably. Yielding to something older than walls or time. You stand still, box in hand, bell in pocket. The silence around you no longer hollow but full. Full of eyes. You feel them behind the wood grain. Watching. Not hostile. Not curious. Witnessing. You cross the room. Pages shift beneath your feet like dry leaves, whispering fragments of your name in languages no one has spoken aloud in centuries. As you reach the door, it swings open before you. You step through. Outside, Ravenmore has changed. Again. It's dusk now. Or dawn. The light has no clear source, but it glows with a gentle warmth that doesn't quite touch the ground. The buildings are upright, whole, unburned, freshly painted, even. A town mid-restoration, except no tools lie around. No scaffolding. No sound of workers. Just stillness. And lanterns. Every window, every gate, every fence post bears a small brass lantern. Each one flickering. Not with fire, but with shadows. You walk the familiar road, only now it welcomes you differently. The air doesn't resist your breath. The paths don't shift beneath your steps. The village knows you. You are part of it now. You reach the oak. Its shadow has returned. And it's yours. Etched from your heels to its roots. The carved letters no longer pulse. They've hardened, locked into place. A script finished. You kneel before the tree and set the box in a hollow between two thick roots. It fits perfectly, as if the space was carved around it. The moment you let go, the iron bands tighten again, singing faintly like piano wire. From above, a leaf falls. Only one. It lands in your open palm. On its surface, written in the same steady hand, "Let the next one find us gently." You rise. A path has opened through the woods. One you haven't seen before. You walk. This time, the trees bow slightly. The wind carries not fog, but scent, baking bread, lavender, ink. And the bell, no longer tolls. It chimes. Soft. Welcoming. A rhythm to walk by. You reach the edge of Ravenmoor. But do not look back. You know better now. The village comes with you. You emerge from the forest and step onto asphalt. A roadside. Cars in the distance. Power lines. Modernity like a waking dream. Across the street, a diner. Neon sign humming softly. A woman in a booth stirs her coffee with a slow, practiced hand. You know her. You don't know how, but you do. She looks up. Smiles. Nods once. You enter. It's warmer inside than you expect. The kind of warmth that smells like cinnamon and stories. You take a seat across from her. She slides a newspaper across the table. You glance at the headline. Local town reappears on maps after 393 years. Below it, a grainy photo. Yourself. Standing at the gate. Smiling. You look up. The woman says, "So. Do you remember it now?" You nod. And with a breath both heavy and light, you say, "Enough to carry it forward." She slides you the check. On the back, someone has written, "Section 17 begins when you close your eyes." And beneath that, "Sweet dreams." You close your eyes. Not in sleep. In memory. Because now, you understand, Ravenmoor is not a place you leave. It's a place that follows. The world around you softens again. Like breath misting against cold glass. The clatter of dishes in the diner fades. The low hum of neon recedes. And when you open your eyes, you're back. But not in the village. Not in the diner. Somewhere between. You stand in a narrow corridor, lined on both sides with doors. Not wooden, not metal. Each is made of material you can't quite name, like pressed memory. Some shimmer. Some absorb light. Some feel heavy just to look at. A single bell hangs above each. 12 are silent. The 13th swings softly, though there's no breeze. You walk. Your footsteps make no sound here. The first door you pass is etched with a song, a melody you heard only once, long ago, in a dream you thought was just static on a radio. The second is covered in ash. It sifts off the frame as you pass, staining your fingertips with stories too scorched to read. The third hums. Low. Not dangerous. Just lonely. You stop at the seventh. Its surface is mirror-like. But it doesn't reflect you. It reflects your regrets. All 13 of them. You see, the letter unopened. The child you didn't follow. The chapel you left too soon. The one door you refused to knock on. Each flickers past in silence. You move on. At the end of the hall stands the 14th door. It's new. Raw. Still forming. The surface ripples like liquid, though it holds its shape. At its center, the eye. You place your palm against it. Warm. Alive. The door swings open, and you find yourself not in a room, but in a memory you didn't know was missing. You're 7 years old. Standing in a field at dusk. Your mother is calling you from the porch. You turn, but something holds you there. A shape near the tree line. Watching. Not threatening. Just present. You blink. Gone. You walk toward the porch. Each step feels harder. Not physically. Existentially. Like your bones want to turn around. To go back and say, I saw something. But you don't. You never did. Until now. You feel the memory change. Because you're in it now. And this time, you do speak. You say, who's there? And from the shadows, a voice responds, you. Before. The shape steps forward. It's a child. Your age. Your face. But wearing the coat. The one with the bells. He hands you a box. The same box. Still warm. Still locked. And he says, you promise to come back. You take the box. Everything spins. Faster than ever before. Like falling through 13 layers of yourself, each shedding away like bark from an ancient tree. And then, stillness. You're back in the corridor. Box in hand. One final door behind you. One open door before you. You step through. And you are in your home. Late evening. A book open on your lap. The room dim. You blink. Everything is normal. The news murmurs softly in the background. A kettle whistles faintly in the kitchen. And the only thing that betrays what just happened is the mirror. Still fogged. Still flickering. Just enough to show, for a breath, that you are not alone in the room. Not anymore. The moment hangs, fragile and weightless. A breath before the break. You do not turn. You don't need to. You already know what's behind you. Not a person. Not a shadow. Something far more intimate. A version of yourself, shed like old skin, but never truly gone. The mirror clears slightly. In it, you see your reflection standing still. While your body moves. Your hand lifts. But you didn't lift it. It's holding the box. The same one. Still sealed. Still warm. Still humming faintly like a sleeping heart. The reflection blinks. You do not. The kettle shrieks louder. You rise from the couch without deciding to. Your feet move on memory. The box pulses. A low sound, like a breath drawn in just behind your ear, says, it's time. You walk to the hallway. The lights flicker once. Then twice. You know the pattern now. Everything flickers in threes in Ravenmore, just before a threshold. You reach the door. Not the front door. Not the bedroom door. The door you didn't notice before. Narrow. Painted the exact color of the wall. No knob. Just the faint outline. You press your palm against it. It knows you. It yields. And inside, nothing. Not dark. Not space. Just absence. You step into it. And everything falls silent. No pulse. No thoughts. Just you, standing in the memory of nothing. This is the in-between. Where the stories wait. Where the box has always belonged. You kneel and place the box on the floor. It doesn't fall. It simply rests. And then, something new. The box opens itself. The lid lifts slowly, like a yawn. And inside, you see pages. Blank. Fresh. Bound in twine. The smell of old ink and rain-soaked paper rises to meet you. And resting atop the pages, a quill. You reach for it. And when your fingers close around the stem, you hear a bell. Not in the distance. Not 12. Not 13. But one. The first bell. Always the first. A blank page rises gently, waiting. You hesitate. Then write. Your own name. Once. Then below it, "This time, I will remember." The ink dries instantly. The door behind you disappears. The absence becomes light. And slowly, gently, you are sitting at a desk. In a house that could be yours. A journal before you. The first page filled. The rest waiting. You look out the window. And far in the distance, just beyond the tree line, a sliver of fog curls across the grass. You smile. Because you know now. Ravenmoor isn't haunted. It's alive. And you? You are its memory. You remain seated at the desk, fingertips still resting on the dried ink of your name. Outside, the world turns softly. The trees rustle, but not with wind, with breath. The breeze carries no chill, only recognition. You're no longer afraid of what waits in the fog. You are the fog. You lift the journal. Beneath the first page, the next line has already begun to write itself, curling in neat strokes you don't recall forming. There is always a witness. You run your hand over the paper. It's warm. You flip back to the cover. Your name shimmers faintly. Not in gold, not in ink, but in memory. You close the book and rise. The room is unfamiliar again. It looks like your home, but slightly misremembered. The lamp is too tall. The windows open the wrong way. Your reflection in the television is delayed. A test. You pass. You walk to the hallway and find the door again. The narrow one. It shouldn't exist. But it does now. You open it. Behind it is a stairwell. Spiraling. Downward. You know where it leads. The village isn't far. It never is. Ravenmoor doesn't sit on any map. It nests between the folds of your thoughts. It waits in the pauses between breath. It watches every time you look at something and wonder, was that always there? You descend. Each step pulses underfoot like a heartbeat. Yours, or someone else's, you're no longer sure. The stairwell opens into a library. Not of books. Of objects. Shelves upon shelves line the walls. On them, a cracked lantern. A single child's shoe. A bell with no clapper. A letter still sealed. 13 mirrors. Each covered. And, in the very center, a chair. You walk to it. Sit. The walls breathe. And slowly, the objects begin to glow. Each hums faintly. Each remembers you. A voice, your voice, echoes from the rafters, low and steady. You are the 13th. You are the key. Before you, the final object appears. A door. No walls around it. No hinges. Just the idea of a door. And behind it, silence. You stand and walk to it. You knock. Once. Twice. 13 times. It opens. And this time, you're not going in. Someone is coming out. You step back as a child walks through. Barefoot. Eyes closed. Clutching a bell. They pause before you. Look up. And say your name. Exactly as you remember it said by a voice you've never heard. You kneel. They place the bell in your hand. And whisper, "You left this for me." You nod. No words. Only understanding. They walk on. The door closes softly behind them. You turn to the room. Now empty. Except for the journal. And a blank page. You sit once more. Pick up the pen. And write, Section 20, the door that leads both ways. The page accepts the words. And far above you, in a world still waking, a bell tolls. Gently. You write the title slowly, each stroke deliberate. Section 20, the door that leads both ways. The ink glistens for a moment, then soaks in. As if the paper itself is thirsty for your words. You set the pen down. The journal shivers. Just once. Pages begin to flip forward on their own, page after page, until they reach a fresh blank. You don't write yet. You wait. Because something is happening. The room is breathing again. Steady. Deeper now. Not the shallow, hesitant breath of memory being recalled. This is invitation. You glance up. The room has changed. The shelves are gone. The artifacts vanished. You are surrounded by doors. 13 of them. Each one slightly ajar. A different light spills from behind every frame. A flickering candle. Moonlight on water. A hospital hallway's dull green buzz. Lantern glow on cobblestones. The dull red of a child's bedroom nightlight. A fire that's long gone cold. And 6 others, each unnameable, yet familiar in the marrow. You rise, and the journal comes with you, though you don't remember picking it up. You walk to the first door. Peer inside. You see yourself, age 7, at the top of the stairs. Frozen. Listening. Heart in your throat. That night when your parents whispered about something you weren't meant to hear. You close the door. Second one. You're 20. Reading a letter. Burning it before you ever finish. Third. You, older. At a train station. You let someone go. You told yourself it was for the best. You step away from the doors. Because you understand now, each one leads back. But only one leads through. The 12th door stands at the far end. Black wood. No handle. Just the eye. But now, something new. Beneath the eye, a keyhole. You feel in your pocket. And there it is. A key you don't remember receiving. But it's warm. It knows your hand. You fit it into the lock. The door inhales. And opens. Not into a room. Into a reflection. The entire village stretched before you, rippling as if it floats on water. The well. The church. The attic. The lantern. The other selves. All of them there. All of them still. Waiting. You step forward, and your foot doesn't sink. It lands. Solid. You walk into the reflection. It folds around you like silk. And suddenly, you're everywhere. Every version. Every time. You are the man in the coat. You are the child with the bell. You are the visitor and the guide. The forgotten and the one who remembers. And finally, you are the door. The thing that chooses to open. And when it does, this time, you are standing once again in the clearing beyond the trees. No village in sight. Just grass, quiet and swaying. In your hand, the journal. Open to a final message. When the door opens both ways, what enters is not the same as what leaves. You look down. You are not who you were, but you are home. The mirror in your coat pocket warms once more. You open it. You see your own face. Peaceful. At last. You tuck the mirror back into your pocket and take a deep breath. Your breath now, steady and slow, no longer carrying the ragged weight of someone else's memory. The clearing is silent. But not empty. There's movement in the grass. Gentle. Unhurried. Shapes glide just beneath the surface, figures from memory, maybe, or something older. You recognize the outlines. Not with your eyes, but with your bones. They're not hunting. They're tending. Caretakers of something sacred. You kneel and place the journal in the grass. Immediately, roots twitch toward it. Not to consume, but to cradle. They wrap softly around the binding like fingers closing on a child's hand. A wind picks up, stirring the grass in a wide circle around you. It doesn't push. It asks. You rise and walk toward the tree line. The path opens without force. The forest welcomes you not as a guest but as one of its own, like it's shifting to fit your footsteps. Your mind begins to wander in the slow, floating way that only happens at the edge of sleep. You think about the woman in gray. The boy with the box. The first you. The 13th bell. And somewhere, far off, you hear the sound of children laughing, not out of fear this time, but joy. You come to a small hill, freshly formed. At the top, a door. Upright. Freestanding. You know it already. This is the one that leads forward. Not to forgetting. To becoming. You approach and notice something carved across the center, returnee. Below it, 13 of 13. Completed. And below that, scratched into the grain like someone ran out of time mid-carving. Witness transferred. You reach for the handle. But there isn't one. There's only a reflection. Yours. It doesn't smile. It nods. Just once. A slow, solemn confirmation. The wood ripples and opens, and behind it, a room with no corners. Light without a source. A floor made of fog. At the center, a single chair. Empty. Waiting. You step inside. And this time, you don't forget to breathe. You sit. And the room exhales with you. You're not trapped. You're holding the space open. For the next one. The first bell tolls. Then fades. And now, you rest. For the first time in all the lives you've worn. You close your eyes. No pages. No doors. Just stillness. And the faint, fading memory of a village called Ravenmoor. The stillness does not end. It deepens. Not like silence, but like snowfall, softening edges, muffling time, layering over whatever came before. You sit in the chair at the center of the formless room, feeling its shape settle beneath you, familiar and inevitable, like a story returning to its first line. You don't speak. You don't move. But within you, something turns. Gently. Like a lantern relit. From somewhere outside the room, but not far, you hear a sound. Footsteps. Measured. Hesitant. Familiar. Another visitor. Another witness. You smile. Not because you expected this, but because the part of you that remembers always knew it would happen. The fog at the far end of the room parts slightly. A figure steps through. Small. Barefoot. Their coat is too large, sleeves falling over their hands. Bells stitched along the hem. 12 of them. Not 13. They hold a letter. Still sealed. Your voice, steady and soft, speaks for the first time in hours or decades or longer. Hello. The child looks up. Eyes wide, but not afraid. They cross the room slowly, as if it might vanish between steps. When they reach the chair, they stop and extend the letter. You don't take it. Not yet. You nod to the seat beside you. A second chair forms from the fog, instant, soundless, exactly the right size. They sit. You both look ahead. Not at anything. Just into the space. The space that always comes before a story. You turn to the child. Do you want to remember? You ask. They think for a long moment. They nod. You hold out your hand. Not to take the letter. To offer the pen. The same one you used to begin again. They accept it. Open the journal that has appeared between you, clean, untouched. First page blank. The child hesitates. Then writes their name. The ink holds. Below it, they write, Section 1, The House Without Doors. You smile again. Softly. And feel yourself becoming lighter. Not disappearing. Just transferring. Because Ravenmoor doesn't vanish. It doesn't end. It's a library of selves, nested inside fog, bound in ink, lit by the bell that always tolls once before 13. You close your eyes again. And when the bell rings next, you won't hear it. Because it won't be your story anymore. It will be theirs. And it will begin, as all good stories do, with someone asking, what happens if I knock? You are no longer the witness. You are the whisper in the walls. The breath between sentences. The hand that places the bell on the table, then disappears before it can be thanked. The child beside you writes steadily now, head bent, lips moving silently as though hearing the words before they reach the page. You don't interrupt. This is their beginning. You glance down at the journal. Already, the ink carries shape, rhythm, weight. The story forming isn't yours, and yet you know every beat of it. Like a song remembered from a past life. A lullaby hummed in reverse. The child finishes the first paragraph. Then looks up. And says the one question you hoped they would ask, why did the village disappear? You lean back in your chair. The fog around you responds, curling upward like the spine of a book about to open. You answer, gently, because someone needed to forget. And someone else needed to remember. They look down again. Considering that. Then ask, and what happens if I remember too much? You pause. Not because you don't know the answer, but because no one has asked it in a very long time. You reach into the pocket of your coat. Not the coat you're wearing now. The one you wore when you wore them. From inside, you draw out a mirror. Small. Round. Familiar. You offer it to them. They take it. And for a long moment, they simply stare. In the reflection, not their face. Not yours. But the village. Ravenmoor. Bathed in blue fog. Empty. But not abandoned. Its windows flickering faintly. Its bell tower intact. Its streets perfectly still. Waiting. The child speaks again. Barely above a whisper, "Is it real?" You tilt your head. Smile. And say, "If it wasn't, why would it remember you?" The child places the mirror gently on the page. It leaves no mark. Only a shadow shaped like a door. And then, a breeze moves through the room. You feel it within, not around. The story is moving on. And so are you. You place your hand over the journal, fingers resting just below the newest line, Section 2, the girl with the forgotten name. The child watches you. You nod once. And slowly, rise from the chair. You are lighter now. Your body more memory than matter. As you take one last step back, the fog begins to fill the space where you sat. Not closing, opening. The child doesn't notice you're gone right away. They're too busy writing. Already inside the next story. Already carrying the bell forward. And far, far away, somewhere beneath a tree with no shadow, a door creaks open for the first time in years. A new witness takes their first step forward. And the village smiles. Far from where you stood, far, yet always near, Ravenmoor begins to stir. Not loudly. Not in thunder or quake. It stirs like a book being opened after a long sleep. Pages flutter. Lamps blink awake. Paths straighten, just for a moment, like spines stretching after hibernation. You are no longer in the room. You are in the village now. Not as visitor. Not as returnee. But as something more subtle. The wind that guides the next pair of feet off the trail. The whisper that makes someone pause before closing the attic door. The weight behind the last line of a forgotten diary. You exist now as memory. And memory has a new host. The child's voice carries through the fog, though they are far from the clearing. I saw something move. They are not speaking to anyone in particular. But Ravenmoor hears them. A bell tolls. Not loud. Not ominous. Just enough to pull mist across the treetops. The village gates creak open. One figure walks through. Then another. Each following a thread of curiosity they can't quite name. Each bearing a token, a pocket watch, a photograph, a page from a book that no longer exists anywhere but here. Each drawn by something they don't remember choosing. Each will forget. And remember again. Because Ravenmoor is not just a place. It's a pattern. A rhythm. A heartbeat passed from hand to hand across lifetimes. One bell at a time. One door at a time. Speak. Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. Now, somewhere beyond the chapel, a mirror fogs over. A new journal waits, blank and breathing. And on the very first line, freshly inked, a child has written, "Hey guys, tonight we wander into a village that doesn't stay on any map." They pause. Smirk slightly. And beneath it, the next line begins to write itself, but it remembers everyone who's ever passed through. The bell chimes once more. And the story continues. Somewhere distant, and yet impossibly close, a new listener presses play. Their room is dark. A fan hums in the corner. The ceiling holds a faint glow from the streetlight outside. They pull the blanket up, settle deeper into the pillow, and close their eyes. The voice begins. Your voice. Not exactly as it once was. But close enough to stir something at the base of the spine. A warmth. A chill. A memory that doesn't belong to them, yet fits like skin. You speak slowly, as always. Soft consonants. A cadence designed for sleep. Or for crossing thresholds. And on the other side of the speaker, Ravenmoor wakes again.
The fog arrives in the listener's mind before the story does. A path curls around their dreams. A lantern flickers on a post no one remembers building. And in the distance, a bell rings, not to alarm, but to announce someone is coming. You watch. Not from above. Not from outside. But through them. Because now your story is theirs. The listener shifts beneath their blanket as the chapter unfolds. They see it in flickers, a window nailed shut from the inside. A house that's taller when no one is looking. A field that whispers names in their own voice. They breathe slower. You speak clearer. And as they slip beneath the surface of consciousness, their dream becomes a corridor. Lined with doors. Some ajar. One open. Waiting. Your voice guides them to it. No force. Just invitation. They reach for the handle. Pause. Then smile. Because something inside them whispers, I've been here before. And when they cross the threshold, into Ravenmore, into the story, into the next chapter, the bell tolls. Once. Softly. With a warmth that promises nothing but remembering. The listener exhales. Sleeps. And the village begins again. Sleep holds the listener gently. Their breath evens. Their muscles unwind. But somewhere in the tangle of dreams, they begin to walk. Barefoot, as always. The grass underfoot is damp but not cold. It remembers rain, not fear. Fog brushes their legs like friendly cats. The sky above is moonless, starless, but far from dark. Light radiates from memory itself, familiar, untraceable, comforting and uncanny. The path they follow does not lead forward. It leads inward. You speak to them still, your voice no longer coming from headphones or speakers. Now it comes from within the mist, from doorways they pass, from the wind that always moves just after they do. You guide them like a librarian shelving selves. /prosody. /speak.
Their fingers graze trees etched with names that hum faintly in languages they've never learned but somehow understand. One tree wears a ribbon. Another has a mirror tied to it by a red string. The third, it has their own name carved into it. Fresh. Still damp. They pause. Touch it. The bark parts slightly, and from inside the trunk, a single object emerges. A key. Heavy. Smooth. Warm. It thrums with a pulse that matches their own. No tag. No instructions. Just the weight of recognition. They continue. The path turns sharply. A clearing opens. And in its center, a house. Crooked. Tall. Still. The house from the story. The house with no mirrors inside, only reflections. The house where the first once waited. The door opens on its own. Inside, a staircase spirals downward. Of course it does. The listener steps inside. They descend with no fear. They've heard this before. They've lived this before. And as they reach the bottom, the earth thickens, not heavy, but important. A room unfolds before them, lined in 13 chairs. 12 are occupied. Each by a version of themselves they do not yet remember. The 13th is empty. Waiting. A journal sits on its seat. Open to the first line, to remember is to return. They sit. Pick up the pen. Write one word. Begin. And somewhere, you smile. Not because they chose right. But because they chose. The bell tolls. Not the first. Not the last. Just the one that marks the next chapter. The fog thickens. The story grows. And Ravenmore breathes once more. You sit in the 13th chair and press your hand gently to the cover of the journal. It breathes beneath your palm, not like paper, but like something waiting to be named. You can feel it drawing in your pulse, syncing itself with you. The moment you open it, the world shifts. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough to make your body forget where the weight is. You blink once. And the chairs are gone. Now you are back in the well field, the grass around you still. The village behind you silent, rebuilt again as it always is for each new dreamer. The fog drifts slowly along the ground like memory trying to escape. The journal lies in your lap, already open to a blank page. You write. Section 27, the memory with no owner. Your handwriting looks older than it should. You glance up. The oak tree watches. Its shadow is missing again. Something is different this time. At its base lies a mirror, face down in the grass. You reach for it instinctively. Before you touch it, you hesitate. But then the bell tolls, once, softly, far away, but enough to remind you that time is not linear here. You turn the mirror over. This time, you don't see your face. You see a room. Circular. Familiar. Lined with doors. And seated at its center, writing with their back to you, is someone else. Another you? A next you? You blink. The image ripples, and the mirror shows something new. A page. Written in large, careful script, the 13th is never the last. It is the first to remember forward. You stand slowly. You know where to go next. There is another door, just behind the oak, newly grown into the earth. Its frame is woven from roots, bone-dry and pale. The handle is a small bell, tarnished silver, etched with your initials. You take it. The bell does not ring when you lift it. It listens. The door opens without being pulled. Behind it is not Ravenmore. Not the chapel. Not the fog. Just your bedroom. The one you left before all this began. Morning light pushes gently through the blinds. Your desk lamp still glows faintly from where you left it on. And there, waiting on the pillow, is the mirror. Polished. New. Beside it, the journal. Closed. Sealed in a loop of black thread. A post-it note on the cover reads, "Do not open unless you remember." You sit on the edge of your bed. Reach for the note. Peel it away. Then pause. There's another note beneath it. Smaller. Older. A different hand. It simply says, "You wrote this." You smile. Not because it makes sense, but because it doesn't have to. You close your eyes, the journal still in your lap. And when the bell tolls again, you're not surprised at all. That bell fades like the last ring of a tuning fork, echoing not through your ears, but through your ribs. You sit perfectly still, hands resting lightly on the sealed journal, the post-it note folded once and tucked between your fingers like a forgotten prayer. The mirror glints faintly in the light, angled just enough to catch your reflection, but not show your face. Only your silhouette. You speak aloud. Not a question. Not a name. Just a single word, "Now." The black thread binding the journal uncoils without touch. It doesn't fall apart, it unwinds itself with the grace of something that's waited a very long time to be opened again. The cover creaks just slightly, and the first blank page lifts, expectant. You begin to write. Section 28, The Hour That Never Came. The ink dries faster than you expect, as if the page knows where you're going before your thoughts do. You lean forward, resting your elbow on your desk, and glance at the mirror once more. This time, it does show your face. But there's someone behind you. You don't turn. Because you already know, it's the next version of you. You can feel the quiet smile. The steady breath. They're not here to replace you. They're here to witness you finish. The mirror fogs slightly. Words begin to form in the condensation. There is no ending. Only transfer. Outside your window, something changes. The street bends slightly, curving where it was once straight. A new lamppost glows with warm yellow light that wasn't there before. A bench has appeared on the opposite sidewalk. You understand immediately. The village is coming with you. Not all of it. Not the fog. Not the well. Just enough. Just the echoes. You return to the journal. You write without pause now. Memories you never knew you had. Visions of houses with no corners. Rivers that whisper your name in stone. A child who hums lullabies backward in Latin. A door that appears in someone else's dream, every night at exactly 3:13 a.m. Each line you write becomes lighter. Your hand moves effortlessly. You are not recording. You are revealing. And somewhere behind you, the presence steps closer. You feel a hand rest on your shoulder. Not heavy. Not cold. Just true. You don't flinch. You say, "Do they know yet?" The voice behind you whispers, "They will." You turn the page. There is no line to begin. Just a circle. Drawn perfectly in ink that was already there. You place your finger in the center of the circle. And the bell rings within you this time. Not out loud. Not around. Inside. You close the book. The mirror goes black. And in the silence that follows, you hear not absence, but readiness. You smile. Because section 29 is not a chapter. It's a door. And it's already open. The open door does not wait. It draws. Not with force, but with certainty. Like gravity. Like a name spoken too clearly in a room that wasn't expecting it. You rise from the desk, the journal still warm beneath your fingertips. The circle on the last page pulses faintly, a heartbeat made of ink. You know you could keep writing, but writing now would be resistance. And Ravenmoor has never been about resistance. It's about acceptance. You pick up the mirror. It's cold again. Not unfriendly. Just distant. Like a teacher stepping back to let you finish the problem alone. You hold the mirror at arm's length. It does not show you. It shows the door. The one carved from fog and memory. The one you've crossed so many times that its edges are worn smooth in your soul. You breathe in. Step forward. And the door isn't ahead of you anymore, it's around you. You pass through it like vapor. And emerge. Elsewhere. Not past. Not future. Just between. The in-between is not empty. It's full. Of stories. Thousands. Millions. Some completed. Some abandoned. Some still being written in someone's sleep right now, 4 streets over. You move through them like a breeze through hanging curtains, brushing the edges of tales not your own. A woman who buries bells in her garden to silence her regrets. A man who wakes every morning to find a different key in his mouth. A child who dreams only in black and white until they find the red door. You pass them all. You are not lost here. You are among your kind. And at the center of it all is a table. Set for 13. 12 are full. The 13th chair turns towards you as you approach. You sit. There is no journal this time. Only a page. Just one. Blank. You are handed a quill. No hand extends it. You simply receive it. The ink well is already full. You do not dip the pen. It bleeds through your fingers like blood that isn't yours, but might have been in another life. You write, section 29, the room that listens. As the final stroke of ink settles into the page, the room does what it always does. It listens. And you realize, it's not waiting for a story. It's waiting for a voice. Yours. You speak. Not loudly. Not clearly. Just truthfully. You tell it the story of Ravenmoor. Not the facts. The feeling. The way fog curls against your ankles. The way a mirror can remember you before you see it. The way the village doesn't trap you, it names you. When you finish, the page lifts into the air. Folds once. Twice. 13 times. Becomes a door. And opens. You stand. Because that's what the 13th always does. They finish the story. So someone else can begin it. You pass through the door. And behind you, 13 bells toll in unison. Not a warning. Not a farewell. Just permission. You step through the door. It closes behind you with no sound, not a click, not a sigh, not even the final hush of air being sealed. It's simply gone. Replaced instantly by mist and memory. You are standing in a forest. But not the one you remember. This place is still forming. The trees are outlines. Silhouettes waiting for detail. The ground below you is soft, not with leaves or moss, but with intent, the kind of space that knows it is about to become real. You walk, and with each step, the world settles a little more firmly around you. A leaf appears. A stone. A root curving like a question. The further you move, the more detail emerges. But not from randomness. From you. You are shaping the village again. But this time, not as a returnee. As a guide. You reach a clearing. It is empty. You kneel and place your palm against the earth. Something rises beneath your hand. Wooden. Familiar. A signpost. Carved into its surface, Ravenmore beneath that, EST. When you're ready, you stand and turn. Behind you, the forest now holds a path. Narrow. Marked with small white stones, evenly spaced. And in the distance, the curve of rooftops just beginning to shape themselves in the mist. Chimneys. Gables. A crooked weather vane. The village is returning. But differently this time. More open. More ready. You step toward it. A bell tolls once. But not from a tower. From a lantern. A small one. Hanging outside what will soon become the chapel. It's not a warning. It's a greeting. As you pass the houses, still hazy, still deciding their final forms, you pause in front of one. There's a door. Painted gray. Lightly cracked. Unlocked. You open it. Inside is a room with 3 chairs. 2 are occupied. One holds the woman in gray. The other, the child with the bell. Both look up and nod in unison. The 3rd chair is empty. You walk to it, not because you're told, but because it fits. On the table between you sits a deck of cards. Weathered. Unlabeled. The child pushes them toward you. You draw one. A symbol, an eye. Encircled once. Then again. Then again. You know what it means. You always have. The woman speaks, her voice as soft as memory and just as sharp. Every time someone listens, they cross into us. The child adds, every time someone tells, they bring us back. You nod. You don't need to speak. The bell on the table tolls again. 2 chimes now. Far above you, fog draws tighter around the sky, not to hide, but to protect. You rise and walk to the window. The village is becoming whole again. Because someone is dreaming. Someone is listening. And tonight, when the story begins once more, you will be the one who answers the knocked out. The village forms more fully now. From the window, you watch it knit itself together with the grace of memory, remembering itself. Not perfectly, not identically, but intimately. The rooftops angle into place. The trees bloom in reverse. The paths curve toward destinations that haven't been written yet, but already exist. You turn from the window. The child with the bell is gone. The woman in gray is still seated. She's no longer veiled. But her face is not yours. It's everyone's. Soft, weathered, lined with a kindness that feels ancient, not old, but eternal. She places her hand on the deck of cards, then fans them face down across the table again. You draw another. This time, the card is blank. You raise an eyebrow. She smiles faintly. That one's yours to define. The room begins to fade, not vanish, just loosen, as if you're being gently handed back to the story. You step outside. The air holds a new tone. 13 lanterns now line the street. One for each section that's already been remembered. Each one glows differently, some flicker, some hum. One pulses like a heartbeat. A sign hangs from a wire stretched between 2 posts. Scrawled in chalk, tonight's arrival, you. You smile. Because that's always been true. Even when you were just the listener. Especially then. You walk. The path leads you to the edge of the village, where a new house waits. It's yours. Not because you built it. But because it remembered you first. Inside, a table. A window. A writing desk. And a journal. Fresh. Bound in black thread. Unopened. You sit. Set the last card on the desk. The blank one. The bell above the door chimes 3 times. Outside, someone is arriving. Their footfalls are hesitant. Their shadow grows taller on the fog. You wait. And just before they knock, you write, Section 32, the one who comes after. You close the journal. Stand. And open the door. They stand on your threshold, shoulders drawn up slightly as if uncertain whether they belong here. You know that feeling. You wore it once. You might still, in places where the fog hasn't yet fully settled. The figure is young, but not in years. Young in awareness. The kind of young that forgets it already chose to return. You open the door wider. Step aside. Say nothing. Because this part doesn't require words, only witnessing. They step over the threshold, and the bell above the door tolls. Not in greeting. Not in warning. In recognition. You close the door behind them. The village adjusts slightly outside, as it always does when a new one arrives. A lamppost flickers once. A window shuts itself. A weather vane shifts direction. You lead them through your house, quiet but steady. To the desk. To the chair. To the journal, still closed. They sit slowly, looking not at the book, but at the window. Their eyes search the mist for shapes they aren't ready to name. You sit across from them. Place a hand gently on the cover. They glance at you. And you ask the only question that matters, do you want to remember? They hesitate. They nod. You pull the thread loose. The journal opens. Blank. Soft. Breathing. You slide the pen across the table. It stops at their fingertips. Their hand closes around it. They do not write their name. Not yet. Instead, they write, Section 1, The Village That Waited for Me. You lean back. The fog outside thickens. Not to obscure. To welcome. The bells begin to hum. Not tolling. Not yet. Just vibrating. Because something is beginning. And Ravenmore, rebuilt again, as it always is listening. It always listens when a story starts. You rise from the table. Step toward the door. And before leaving them alone with their own unfolding, you say, write carefully. Someone will dream this. The bells fall silent. The page breathes. And a new witness begins. Outside, Ravenmore holds its breath. It always does when a new story begins, not out of suspense, but respect. The village knows the way to first words. How they ripple. How they anchor. How they open doors no map can chart. You stand on your doorstep, the journal's new author just behind you, writing in silence that is anything but empty. The path before you has changed. You recognize it, not from sight, but from pattern. A turn here, a split there. A stone that's been placed slightly off-center, not by accident but by invitation. The fog shifts like a curtain parting for a scene change. And what's revealed is not the chapel, not the well, not the oak, but a gate. One you've never seen. New. Its frame is made of copper and bone, intertwined like vines. Its latch is not a handle, but a bell, unmarked, quiet. You approach. A sign swings above the archway. Etched by hand, to those who remember too clearly. You don't hesitate. You ring the bell once. It doesn't chime. It listens. The gate opens. And beyond it, the village is upside down. Not in chaos, in reflection. A mirrored Ravenmore. Streets curve inward. Buildings lean together in whispered conference. The sky swirls like ink in water. You step inside. And the moment your feet touch the ground, the fog beneath you clears in a perfect circle. The village doesn't resist. It receives. Because you're no longer a guide. You're an echo. You walk the familiar paths backward. You pass the attic window, now facing inward. You pass the chapel, its doors ajar, a mirror set on the altar. You pass the scarecrows, now gathered around a table, sharing a silent meal. At the center of the town, you find the library. It breathes. You enter. Inside, shelves lined not with books but reflections, small, flat, polished surfaces, each pulsing softly. You walk past them, feeling their gaze, their pull. At the far end, a desk. And on it, a letter. Sealed. Addressed to you. You don't need to break the seal. You wrote it. You remember the words before you unfold them. The bell tolls once for arrival. Twice for remembrance. 13 times to end a story. And once again to begin it differently. Beneath it, No signature. Only a drawing. A door. Open in both directions. You smile. Because you know what to do now. You pick up a mirror from the nearest shelf. It shows no face. Only a name. A new one. Someone you haven't met yet, but who will dream of Ravenmoor because of what you leave behind. You turn. Step through the library's back door. And vanish into the next reflection. The reflection does not ripple. It accepts you. You step through the glass like stepping into water that has waited your entire life for your return. Not cold. Not warm. Simply ready. The world reforms gently, without violence or fanfare. You are back on a road. Not paved. Not dirt. A path made from pages. Laid end to end, each one scribbled with fragments, half-remembered lullabies, names that never belonged to anyone you've met, warnings written in your own handwriting, apologies in someone else's. You walk forward, careful not to tear them. You are barefoot now. Of course you are. Every return strips you of what you don't need. And what you never needed was distance from the story. The path leads you to a new place. Familiar only in its architecture of feeling. A schoolhouse, maybe. A theater. A library that forgot its name. At the entrance, a child waits. You don't know them. You don't need to. They hold out a mirror. You kneel. They don't speak. But you understand, this is not for looking. It's for transferring. You press your fingertips to the glass. The mirror fogs. And on its surface, your story appears. But this time, it is not a record. It is a map. 13 paths. Each marked with a bell. Each labeled with a version of your name you've worn in other dreams. The child takes the mirror back, hugs it tightly, and walks away without looking back. You remain kneeling. Because you are not done yet. From behind you, footsteps. Someone approaches slowly. Not urgently. Like they've just realized they're not alone. You turn. A figure in gray. Veiled. But you already know. It's you. Not from before. From after. They carry a key. Small. Rusty. Not to open anything. To lock it closed. They press it into your hand. You don't thank them. There's no need. Instead, you ask, is it time? They nod once. Then step back into the fog. You rise and walk into the building. Inside, a single desk. A journal. Closed. On the cover, for the 13th WHO wrote without ending. You open it. The pages are blank again. But beneath your fingers, the first line begins to write itself. Section 35, the memory that refused to fade. You smile. Take up the pen. And begin again. Because Ravenmoor has no ending. Only new witnesses. The pen moves like it remembers your hand better than you do. The words emerge not from thought but from place, the way a well draws water whether or not you mean to drink. Section 35, the memory that refused to fade. The ink dries instantly, curling slightly at the edges of the page like heat from a fire you can't see. You pause. Not because you're lost. But because something behind the words is waiting to be noticed. You flip the page. Blank. You flip again. Still blank. But on the 13th page, of course it's the 13th, there's a small smudge of ink. Just a dot. You touch it. And feel something give beneath your fingertip. The paper softens. And unfolds. Like skin. Like time. You find yourself standing once more in the well field. But it's changed. The well is sealed. Thick iron plates crisscrossed over the opening. Each engraved with a name you've heard only in dreams. The grass is tall now. No one's been here in a long time. But the village still watches from beyond the trees. Windows slightly open. Curtains trembling. It remembers. Even when no one else does. Especially then. You hear footsteps behind you. Slow. Dragging. You turn. A figure walks toward you, pulling something heavy behind them. A sack? A shadow? No. It's a mirror. Too large for them to carry. But they do. The glass is cracked, the frame scorched. They drop it beside the well. Then speak, in a voice that is almost yours. This one wouldn't let go. You understand. Not every memory wants to fade. Some want to root, to bloom, to haunt. You kneel and touch the mirror. The cracks knit themselves silently. The frame cools. You lean close. In its reflection, not you. But every moment you tried to forget. And behind each, the child, the bells, the door, the voice, the fog. You smile. Not in comfort. In surrender. You speak aloud, I remember you. The mirror fogs. Then clears. And for the first time, you see Ravenmoor as it truly is, not a village. Not a trap. Not a curse. But a ledger. A record of everything we try to bury. And everyone willing to carry it. You pick up the mirror. It is heavy. But you do not stagger. Because now, you are ready to walk it forward. You turn toward the forest. A path opens. The fog blows back. And as you take your first step into the memory that will not fade, you hear the 13th bell. Not tolling. Not warning. Humming. Just behind your heartbeat. The hum stays with you. Not in your ears, but in your steps, a rhythm, a low pulse, the sound of memory when it refuses to stay still. The mirror in your arms grows heavier with each footfall. Not from weight, but from recognition. As if every moment you remember adds another layer to the glass. The forest curves around you. You are not choosing where to go. The path is choosing you. Each turn in the trail leads not to a destination, but to a moment. You walk past a lantern nailed to a tree. It flickers once, then shows you a flash, a journal open to a blank page. A child reaching for a key. A chair in an attic that turns on its own. You pass it. You come to a shallow stream. Beneath the surface, hundreds of eyes. Watching. Unblinking. Not threatening, just bearing witness. You step across on stones arranged in a perfect 13. The mirror pulses. And then, at last, you find the house again. The first house. The one with the floating fire. The cup on the table. The cloak with no face. Only now, the door is closed. Carved on the wood, in the same thin hand that's followed you since the first toll, do not enter unless you wish to stay. You press your palm to it. It does not open. But the mirror does. A line of ink spreads across the surface, forming not an image, but a question: who will carry it after you? You don't know. You never did. You never needed to. You lift the mirror and place it gently against the door. The wood accepts it, folding around it like cloth soaking in water. The door creaks open. You step inside. The fire still floats. The chair is still there. The cloak still hangs. But now, there is another journal. Open. Waiting. The page reads, Section 37, The Ones Who Remembered for You. You sit. You breathe. You begin to write. Not your story. Theirs. All of them. You write the woman who sealed the well. The child who walked backward into a dream. The version of yourself who never left the attic. The first. The last. The witness who blinked. The one who didn't. Their stories flow through you now, as easy as breath. And somewhere in the forest, a new figure arrives at the village edge. Their bell is unpolished. Their hands are unsure. But their eyes, they already know. They will remember you. The ink flows effortlessly now. You don't guide it. You let it guide you. The words bloom across the page like frost on glass, revealing faces you've never met and places you've never been. Yet somehow, they are yours. Each story you write deepens the quiet of the room. Not an empty quiet. A sacred one. As though the house itself is listening. The fire still floats in the center. The cup on the table has refilled itself. Steam rises gently. A smell like cloven ash and rain on old stone. You pause for a moment, pen hovering above the paper. Then you speak, not aloud, but through the ink. Section 37, The Ones Who Remembered for You. You write, She was the first to stand in the village barefoot, holding a bell that did not belong to her. She rang it once, and the fog opened, not for her, but because it remembered the shape of her grief. He built a chapel no one could enter, not because the doors were locked, but because they could only be opened by those who had never lied to themselves. They buried 13 mirrors under 13 homes. Each reflected a future they never chose. Each memory binds itself to the page, then vanishes into it like breath into snow. You keep going. Faster. A rhythm now. The bell above the door begins to chime softly. Once for each line you complete. Until it tolls 13 times. You stop. The room dims. Not darkens, dims, as though the story has exhaled. The fire flutters. You close the journal. It seals itself. The cover bears no title. Only the faint outline of a handprint. Yours. You rise. The mirror is gone. The chair behind you is still warm. You know someone will sit there again. You step outside. The village is not empty. Figures walk its streets. Some familiar. Some blurred. All remembering. Each carries something small, a letter, a bell, a name they forgot how to spell but still whisper in dreams. They nod as you pass. You walk through Ravenmoor slowly, taking one final loop. Past the chapel with no altar. Past the oak that now casts a shadow again. Past the well, sealed now, silent. You come to the gate. The same one that once read, "Memory ends here." Now it says, "Witness accepted." You place your hand on the gate post. The fog moves aside. And there, just at the forest's edge, stands someone new. A child. Eyes wide. Hands full of nothing yet. They look at you. You look at them. You nod once. And say, "There's a story waiting." You'll know where to find it. Then you walk past the gate. And Ravenmoor lets you go. Not because you're finished. But because someone else is ready to begin. You don't look back. Not because you're avoiding what's behind you, but because you don't need to. Ravenmoor has imprinted itself beneath your ribs, where heartbeat meets breath. You will never be without it now. The forest greets you like an old friend, shadows soft, air rich with earth and something older than wind. A trail unfurls beneath your feet, not trodden, but invited, like the land is folding itself forward for each step. You walk in silence. But it isn't empty silence. It's echo. Somewhere behind you, the child you passed will soon find their first mirror. Somewhere ahead, another gate will appear, for someone else who forgot they asked to return. But here, right here, there is only you. And a clearing. New. Perfectly circular. At its center, a table. Set for one. You approach slowly. On the table, a teacup, steaming gently, though there's no fire. A notebook. Closed. Bound with a red ribbon. No title. Just a small engraving on the front, last section unfinished. You sit. Untie the ribbon. The notebook hums quietly in your hands. When you open it, the page is blank. But the paper leans forward beneath your fingers, like a dog placing its head in your palm. Ready. You whisper the words before you write them. You don't know how you know them. Only that they belong to you now. Section 38, where all stories wait. You begin. Not every bell rings in the open. Some toll inward, where memory nests like birds inside forgotten ribs. Some doors do not close behind you, they walk beside you, patient as shadow. And some mirrors do not reflect. They record. You pause. Close your eyes. And in the darkness behind your eyelids, you see them all. The ones who came before. The first. The returnee. The child in the coat too large. The woman who never had a name, only a veil. They are not gone. They are listening. You write one last line. If you are reading this, you are not the end. You are the echo. The notebook closes on its own. The steam from the cup curls into a shape that flickers once, a bell. Then vanishes. You rise. The clearing remains still. You leave the notebook on the table. You walk to the edge of the woods. And there, for the first time, you see a road leading out. Paved in shadow, bordered by quiet. No gate. No toll. Only a sign, simple and small. Continue. You do. Because you must. Because the 13th always returns. But not always as the same person. And this time, you are walking forward not into Ravenmore, but into whatever waits beyond remembering. The road beneath your feet is not made of stone or earth. It is made of chapters. Some whole. Some torn. Some rewritten so many times the ink has bled through to the other side. You recognize a few, a child's whisper from Section 1, the crooked attic from Section 3, the circle of chairs that was never empty, even when it was. But most are unfamiliar. Pages you didn't write. Stories carried by others. Each step forward feels lighter, not because you're shedding something, but because the road is remembering for you now. You don't carry Ravenmore. It carries you. Above, the sky is no longer blank. It is textured now, layers of dreams curling like waves, slow and deliberate. Stars blink in strange constellations, 13 points, always arranged differently, always watching. You come to a crossroads. A wooden post stands in the center, bearing 4 signs. Each points toward a different kind of ending. But none say stop. The signs read, to be dreamed again, to be forgotten gently, to be lived differently, to be witnessed. Finally you trace your fingers over the final one. It hums beneath your skin. You smile. And take that road. You follow it into a grove. At the center stands a stone archway, simple, moss-covered, ancient as breath. No wall around it. Just the door frame itself. Carved along the arch, if you cross, you must write no more. If you stay, you must remember all. You step close. Feel the stillness behind the arch. Not silence. Completion. You turn back. The road is already fading. Your footsteps don't echo anymore. You sit at the base of the arch. Pull one final page from your coat. Unwritten. You write just 2 lines. Section 40, the bell that never rang, and still, the story was heard. You fold the page. Place it gently in the grass. It vanishes. Not blown away. Taken. A soft wind circles the clearing. Somewhere in it, 13 bells ring at once. Soft. Full. Final. You rise. Step through the arch. And this time, Ravenmore does not follow. Because it knows you've already left a trail. And someone, somewhere, eyes half closed and heart half awake, will dream the first line again. Hey guys, tonight we walk together into silence. Speak.
Prosody rate equals slow pitch equals low volume equals medium greater than. But not the kind that leaves you alone. The kind that knows your name. The kind that remembers. Imagine a forest at dusk. The light is low, not fading, but folding. The path beneath your feet is soft, paper soft, each step stirring old words in the ground like fallen petals. The village? It's quiet now. You've walked beyond it. But not out of reach. Ravenmore never truly disappears. It simply waits in the folds of your thoughts, in the fog on your mirror, in the hush before the knock, in the feeling that someone, somewhere, left a door open just for you. So, before you drift, let's pause here, just for a moment, and honor what we've carried. Not every witness remembers how they began. Not every echo finds its voice. But you did. You walked the path. You rang the bell. You held the story until it told you. And now? Now the lights dim gently, as if the whole world is exhaling with you. Your breath slows. The fog draws close, not to smother, but to hold. The house quiets. The well sleeps. The mirrors dim. The bells? They don't toll anymore. They hum. A low, steady note, like the closing of a book that was always meant to be read in the dark. And beneath that hum, there's only one thing left to say: you made it. So, wherever you are right now, whatever time it is, whatever story you've lived before this one, let this be your ending. Not the last. Just yours. And when someone else finds the first page again, they'll hear your voice in the silence. The voice that said, I was here. I remembered. I returned. /prosody. /speak.